Tonight we're going to do the set. Sorry, I've got a bandage everywhere because I had an accident, which I'm sure I will talk about. But we'll do this poly bag. I actually ended up getting 2 of this, and so I gave one away as a Christmas present, birthday present to somebody. But I haven't done it myself, so we're going to do it now. And it looks pretty good. Looks like a fun little set. In the poly bag world, I'm a bit tired, but not too bad. I had a cold yesterday. Possibly my very first, or one of the few actual 24-hour colds that I've ever had. Like, I've never really had a 24-hour cold before in my life. So, not very often. But recently I've been just getting a bit sick for like a day and then feeling fine afterwards and just getting a good night's sleep. Which is not how things have normally worked for me over the years. So, but that's how they currently work now. I haven't really got sick at all for like a big sick in a long time, but I have got little tiny sick often. I fell over, I tripped over a road sign, which is annoying, and landed on the concrete, but only injured my fingers. There's actually a crack on the end of my nail. So normally I would have more bandages over there because I really want the nail to grow out before it gets, because like the crack is just going to get, like if I get caught on something, it's going to be bad news. So I have to keep covering it up, and I got one here as well. But it's not that, it doesn't look gruesome, I don't think. It's just I need to keep it protected. So we're making this, and this is feels like we're making one of those little mixable things, but we're not. It's one of these guys. I still actually got a couple of mixels that I haven't done on this channel that have still in their packet. I got something recently that's right, I got one of those X-Plod things. Did I even show it on this channel? I got like a brand new one. I think I paid $15 or something for it, quite expensive. But I'm like, wow, I haven't seen one of those for ages. I have a couple of them, I'm pretty sure, hidden away that haven't been done. But this was one that I found and bought. Because they'll be worth a fair bit of money one day. I don't know if the thing is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this makes no sense. But I will hopefully dig it up at some point and show it. Because that was a little bit like this as well. The same kind of articulated joint things. I don't even really know what the word articulated means, but it's just like, it feels like that's the kind of right word to say in this situation. So we're going to, I'm too tired to even think, so I could be completely wrong. That goes there. This is making the tail. This is making me think of that movie Rio, and but he's blue in Rio, isn't he? Because it's called Blue. Which I don't really like that movie very much. I've watched it few times because children like to watch it, and it was something that we had at work and kids would watch it, but I just found it kind of an annoying film. But that's how things go. Now we do have some brightly coloured parroty birds in Auckland that aren't really meant to be there, I don't think. But then there's one that's not so bad, and then there's, and I keep forgetting, I get one of them, they call them parakeets, but they're lorikeets or something. And they appeared in the late 90s or 2000s or something, and then sort of took over. But they're not that common, but they just seem very out of character when you consider the rest of Auckland's birds. So I just thought I'd tell you that, because if you haven't been to New Zealand, you might not realise that there are brightly coloured parrot-like birds. But they're green, mainly green, which does kind of fit in with New Zealand birds. New Zealand birds are often green, or greenish, or have some sort of greenness on them. Unless they're blue, of course. Right. But they're not often red. I don't know if I can think of red birds. There probably are red birds. Now, put that one there. And Where's the rest of this bit? I did read something about starlings recently, and starlings are like one of those birds. They're introduced to New Zealand. Where's the grey bit? Here it is. But you don't often think about them, and I haven't seen them very often. And they're kind of like in the back of my mind. It's like, oh, there are starlings around. I don't really think about those. But I read an article about pigeons and how they're like everyone's least favourite bird. And they have a reputation for being rats with wings. And that one day someone said that starlings will be the next evil bird. I'm like, really? Starlings? What? What? Apparently they're related to miners. Miner birds. Not miners, people who work in mines. And that makes it kind of understandable, because miner birds are just the worst. So they're not the worst. I like them, except that they're very annoying sounding when they in that mood, and they attack everything else, and they have this really, really weird, like, adrenaline seeking nature where they do the daftest things. So I don't know if I mentioned it on this channel, but I did actually bury a miner bird in the back garden once of where I used to live, because I was cycling along and they swooped across the road in front of the cars like they do for the apparent sheer fun of it, except they didn't quite do it, and they went under the car, and then they flooped out the back and went whoop, like, you have to see, they go woo, and then they landed on the ground, on the road, and so then I went and picked them up, and they had obviously injured themselves quite severely by going under a car and doing this, and did not survive. And I was like, I always feel like, it's pretty shocking when you watch a bird die or anything die, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take you home and I'll bury them in the back garden. Except I was going somewhere at the time, so I took them and then I wrapped them up, and I eventually put them in the fridge. This is when I was flatting with people, and I left them in the fridge for a week before I finally got around to actually burying them. But that was fine. It was fine. So there we go. There we go. And now we have to build the wings, which are going to be the exciting part. So that was an exciting bird story for a bird-related thingy. What's it? I feel like I should just be doing this twice and just guessing how it goes together, because it's not too difficult to predict. So I think we've got to get these the right way around. Right, so those two go like that, and then some little triangle things. I haven't really looked at the camera, so I could have been making a terrible video. So, oh my gosh, I am getting tired. It's this weird thing. I seem to sleep more than I used to. Maybe that's something to do with this random. I feel like maybe I've got long COVID, because I never really felt like I got COVID. But I just got mild COVID, and then I've got this mild long COVID where I just need like an extra hour or a half hour of sleep every night, and it's just so subtle that I don't really realize. So this is the wing, and that's going to go there, because it's not actually that late. It's about 10:30 or something, and I feel like I've got one more hour before I can go to sleep, because I got up at 7:30, right? And if I want to have 8 hours sleep, then I should be going to sleep at 11:30. So I've got another hour to go. So I don't think I should be that tired. That's what I feel like. Now we're going to get this, and we're going to put these two together and do the same thing over and over again. There's the picture. That's what we're doing. And I'm just literally going to follow the picture, because I don't have the mental capacity. This is the wrong one. What have I done? How did I get the wing? I got this wrong because I put it on the wrong way. So we have to take. I had a funny feeling I'd done this. Oh gosh, how am I supposed to get this off? I don't think I'm going to get it off that way. Oh, so this is the correct piece. It's supposed to go like that way. So I had it like that way. As you can see, they are two different ways. And now I shall put them on the correct way, and then everything will make perfect sense. Everything will be perfect. I watched a very small amount this evening of everyone. Is it? It's called Everyone is Dead. Which is what I'm currently watching on Netflix. I just thought I'd say that. But I haven't actually watched a full episode for a while. Like in one sitting. Like I've watched an episode, but I just watch it in more than one sitting. In fact, I haven't watched anything in quite a while. I just haven't had the patience. I feel like reading more, but all the books that I want to read, they haven't arrived. They're like on hold at the library, and it's like, oh, I want to read them now. I read the first book, and I don't know if I mentioned this. I read the first book in the Expanse series just recently, and read it quite quickly too. It's quite easy to read, and I'm like, I don't really think I never really expected to get round to actually reading the Expanse books. So Leviathan Wakes, but now I'm like, actually, because I think I did mention this because I mentioned this like, wow. That's the bird. The bird is finished. That they're not going to finish. There's a good chance that you're not going to get all of the books. Resolved on the TV series, and that's like sad, and I'm sad. Just even thinking about it, and like you want to know what really happens. And like the last series, it was fine, but it didn't really. Like I think the last couple of series, they're very short and they don't really go into as much detail as the first one. The first series, now that I read the book, and it's like, well, they added all these extra things in, and I didn't really feel that they were that good. But the later series are a bit quick, so there's probably a lot more in the books to read over, and then you're kind of left like, well, obviously there's a lot more going to happen in the TV in the story than what the TV series ends up showing you, and it's like, wow, okay, I'm going to have to read all nine books, which are all at least 500 pages long. I can do this. I've read one out of 9. We're speeding along here. There we go. My feelings about the book. Like I felt like they did this thing in the TV series where they made Holden's character different. Like this whole, like in the first episode. I'm not going to spoil anything for you if I say this, but in the first episode, he like has to go behind his the captain's back to send out the signal so that they go and rescue the people in the Scalopi, whatever it's called. But that's not what happens in the book. And I kind of feel like, and then they have this whole thing where it's like he's not supposed to admit that he's the one who did this, and everybody was like, and it just feels like I actually preferred the way the book was doing it. It was just like, well, that was better. Like it didn't. I just felt like an unnecessary thing to throw for the character, but that's just me. I guess they were sort of like padding it out, which is a weird thing, right? Why, padding out a TV series over a book which is 500 pages long, just for the first book, 550 pages long. But that's just the way you go when you have a 10 or 15 episode TV series or whatever. How many episodes are actually in the first one? So this is the bird, and we've had enough talking about The Expanse. We're going to talk about this bird, and this bird has eyes, which are very cool. I don't have enough of those eyes. I quite like this. This is a very good display thing. So it looks good. They had that kind of cute. The fact that you can move their head around is quite good. So I'm going to give this a very high score out of some number. I'm going to give it good. Like I'm obviously, you can't deny this, that I'm obviously a polybag fan, and that I think they're pretty good value. I think I've only got one polybag left from the current haul that I got, which is probably not going to be anywhere near as exciting as this one. Obviously, I have left not the most exciting one to last, but I've got so many other things to do, so that's all right. We can have one sad episode. It's not sad. It's just like, is this really going to be fun? It might be fun. Like, I've been surprised. But this one here was obviously going to be pretty cool. It's a pretty good display thing. So I'm going to put this up and display it instead of taking it apart like I usually do things. and keep it somewhere for a while. Like I've got that plane there's a biplane that I made years ago, like early on in this channel, and it's still actually up on top of my desk. So some of these things I just keep up for forever and ever and ever and ever. So I think it's still up there. It's covered in lots of other bits and pieces, so I can't really tell. But this is going to stay up for a while. So I just thought I'd say that. Thanks for watching, and like, share, and subscribe, and bye.